Hello, my name is Adam Leach, and I am having heart palpitations because I don't know my limits with espresso. Welcome to my channel.
How the turntables.
On this channel, I am a music fan and consumer first, and pretentious critic second. I try my best to find something to like about everything I listen to and convey that which I don't like in the most respectful way to the artist possible, because this is their baby and art is subjective. None of us are right. Except for you, of course. Today, we are doing a song-by-song breakdown and review of Ed Sheeran's latest project, Equals.
Boys, let's get to it.
This is Ed's first return to his music catalog's mathematical theme, the last being Divide in 2017. And in this one, we see mostly happy Ed musing about his love for his family. The album opens up with the song Tides, a song about Ed's life-changing tides as he becomes a father. Upon first glance, I often found this track to be kind of repetitive and annoying almost for my taste. I just get tired of the chugging quarter notes in the same four chords. I feel like I'm at church where the worship leader listens to way too much Mumford & Sons.
Say something nice. Say something nice.
But as I sit down and listen to the lyrics, I find a lot more to love. Ed wrote this song to feel chaotic in the verses and tell a story of his crazy go life, doing stupid stuff, feeling unsure about himself, chasing numbers and worrying about other people's opinions. And then in the chorus, the music drops out completely with nothing but his voice paired with a synthesized background vocal over total silence. It's angelic. We have this moment of beauty and clarity as he sings about time standing still the moment he holds his daughter in his arms. So pure. I think it achieved exactly what he was trying to achieve with it. Moving right along, we get to the pop radio hit that has managed to wiggle its way into my brain time and time again, Shivers. In addition to Ed and Fred again, not like Fred again, like I've already mentioned him before, but the guy's name, he goes by Fred again, you get it. We have Steve Mack, who helped give us the hit song Shape of You off of Ed's previous album Divide. I know it's unpopular and unhipster to like poppy radio hits, but there is a reason songs like this get stuck in your head. This song is an earworm. It's very well written and performed, and there's not much I would change about it. I love this song, and I don't care who knows it.
I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
And in the third track, Fast Times, we get a more familiar acoustic sound on this love song. In addition to Ed and Fred again, we have David Hodges with a writing credit. And if you don't know David, he has credits on the song 1,000 Years by Christina Perri. And I think you can hear that influence on this track. It starts with just Ed and his guitar, it builds with a piano, and then we get these lovely emotional strings in the chorus. This is a love song about Ed growing up and his priorities changing. Let me tell you, for a guy who has an unapproachable resting biker face, by what people tell me, I am an emotional softie.
Weenie Hut General!
This song is very sweet. Once we wipe our tears away, we transition into Bad Habits, the second pop radio banger of the album. And once again, I am not the pretentious hipster type to even play like I don't love this song. I love music. I love the way something makes me feel. And the first time I heard this, it made me feel like I want to listen to it again. It has everything you could want: a synthesizer, catchy melodies, spacey background vocals, and the instrumental gives us dynamics and room to breathe while surrounding us with this euphoric sound. The music video was a little lame, but the song is a hit. For the next track, we leave 2021 and we wind it back to the 80s. Overpass Graffiti is a 1980s radio pop love ballad through and through. I felt like I was about to listen to Love is a Battlefield or something. I got the sudden urge to watch 13 Going on 30. You think that's a joke, but that's a good movie, and you're lying if you're telling me it's not.
You're not Chinese.
This song literally made me feel like it was 1985. I was wearing a leather jacket, I'm at my prom, and I just saw my date Becky walk across the dance floor and dance with Todd, the quarterback.
Hey! Take it easy.
I love this song. It's so 80s. The drums, the synths, the keys, the guitar, the songwriting in general. I'm here for it, and I'm gonna be listening to this many more times. Leaving the 80s and turning things down even further, we get Ed and a piano. The Joker and the Queen opens up almost sounding like it could be the beginning of a song off of La La Land. This is a very nice song that builds into this lovely, simple, string-filled chorus and instrumental break that almost feels like it could be in an old Disney film or something. This whole song is Ed singing about him feeling just so lucky and blessed that his his wife would pick him when she very well could have had anybody in the world. He draws comparisons with love and a card game the entire song, which I know a lot of people think that's cliche, and I saw some reviewers rip him apart for cliches like that, but he's writing this from his heart. I'm not about to critique him on cliches because I think he does it well. Next up, in a song about the difficulty of leaving his family, we have Leave Your Life. Rather than try to explain this one, I'm just gonna read a quote from Ed himself. I flew over to Australia for the memorial of my friend Michael and was quarantining for 2 weeks. We watched the funeral via a live video link, and afterwards I was on the phone with his daughter, who said, "My dad always said that he loved me. The last thing he ever said to me was I love you." I was like, my daughter is 6 months old. If I went tomorrow, she would never know. So this is a letter to her saying that. I think this is my favorite song on the album. There aren't a lot of lyrics in this, but every single line I feel means the most. So I usually judge slower, softer songs the hardest because I typically prefer more upbeat stuff, but this is another example of a song that has a great meaning to the artist. And knowing that kind of changes the lens at which I look at it and listen to it. I think too many people listen to music without letting the meaning of the music impact them. They just dismiss it and say, "Oh, it's boring, all the lyrics are cliche." You're judging someone's emotions. It's very possible that they're putting their heart on their sleeve and this means a lot to them. So I think it's worth being empathetic and listening. Then we get into the song Collide. So Ed said in an interview that the very first song him and his wife Cherry danced to at their wedding was a song by Ken Queller called 13. In 13, Ben makes a list of things that him and the love of his life did together. He really liked that song and he asked Ben permission to borrow that theme for this album. So Collide is this uplifting, euphoric song where Ed is looking back at all the wonderful things that he's done with his wife. I appreciate the percussion on this track. I also like the main instrumental melody in the chorus that seems to have a couple vocal samples with some effects on them. This is one of those songs that plays in a movie where two people in love are dancing as the rain is pouring down and they're laughing in slow motion. Then we get into Two-Step, a hip-hop infused bop produced by Andrew Watt and Louis Bell. After I looked up who produced this, I was like, well, of course, because Andrew and Louis both have a series of hits under their belts, but both of them also have a lot of writing credits for some of Post Malone's biggest hits. What I appreciate most about this track is that it makes total sense for Ed. Ed is a hip-hop head through and through. Part of his claim to fame was using that loop pedal on stage and doing that like fast sing rap thing. So this song is very reminiscent of those roots and sticks with that same style. It's got the acoustic on the main melody. It's got the classic Ed Sheeran layered vocals on the chorus. It's a fun track where Ed seems to be singing about people's opinions and words hurting him and cutting deep and, you know, the stress of life weighing heavily on him. But when he's with his wife, it all melts away and nothing exists except for her. He said in an interview that he liked the beat because it reminded him of 2010. He felt like it was him trying to be 18 but singing about his problems at 30. As far as the name of the song, he said that him and his wife are terrible dancers, but the two-step is the one thing that they can do. So in this song, they're canceling their plans, they're canceling their lives and worries at the moment, and they're two-stepping their troubles away. Hello, I just want to interrupt real quick and tell you to hit the like button. It costs you nothing, it takes you no time, and it really helps me out. Thank you so much. Then we get into the song Stop the Rain, a track with a groovy bass line, wide array of pleasing background vocals, and that familiar acoustic guitar. This song is about a lawsuit. He references the lawsuit in his line, "Sometimes it can get too much for me, and that's why the photograph gets burned. Throw the match in gasoline." So Ed's song Photograph got him in hot water with singer Matt Cardle. I think that's how it's pronounced. Matt, or at least the people who represent Matt, claimed that his chorus plagiarized the chorus from his song titled Amazing. I've listened to both tracks, and I'll admit the choruses are strikingly similar. Most cases like this I dismiss as just kind of being a money grab, but I don't blame Matt or his team for questioning here because it's pretty close. Whatever the case, on this song, he's frustrated. He feels like he wasn't in the wrong and it wasn't on purpose, and that's what this song was about. Then in the track Love in Slow Motion, we get a song about Ed and his wife moving away from the big city life and enjoying a slower, quieter life with each other. This sounds like a song that's well within Ed's wheelhouse. It feels like a familiar style. It's an enjoyable track, just not a standout in the midst of some of the others. Then we get a song called Visiting Hours, and this is just a heartbreaking ode to Ed's friend and mentor who passed away in March of 2021. He wrote this in quarantine after Michael passed, and he sang it at his funeral. This one obviously means a whole lot to Ed, and he said there was a period of time where he was so upset that he couldn't even speak without sobbing. So writing it was difficult, but recording and performing it were even harder. I genuinely think there's a lot to love about this track, especially considering the meaning and emotion behind it. The instrumental's beautiful, the background vocals are huge, the lyrics are just heartbreaking. Though I wouldn't feel comfortable critiquing a song like this anyway, because I don't think it's appropriate or my place, and I'm not inhuman. I think it's a phenomenal tribute that his friend would be very moved by. So once we wipe up more tears from that song, we get into Sandman. This one is gonna be one that a lot of people hate and a lot of other people are gonna go goo-goo-eyed over. Ed wrote this song as a lullaby dedicated to his daughter. It's filled with childish nursery rhyme type of instruments. It's not one that I'm gonna be repeating very often, and I wouldn't have argued if he left it off, but this is his body of work, this is his art, this is his baby, literally. And pairing it with the theme and subject of the rest of the album, I think it fits right in with the rest, considering that it's dedicated mostly to the love of his family, his wife and his daughter. It's a nice, sweet moment to follow up with the last song that was rather sad, so you can kind of pick yourself back up. Coming in hot with a quarter note kick drum is Be Right Now. At first, with the quarter notes slapping, it kind of sounds cheesy, but then you get this real dreamy, low piano part, and it turns into something nice. He was very intentional about writing this to be his last song on this album. And the opening lines are touching as he sings, "A lifetime is starting to feel like it's short of the mark, but it's all we got." This song is him retreating back to being with his family and shutting the world off because nothing else matters to him. And that caps off this album. So what do I think of this album? What is my final breakdown? And most importantly, what's my rating? Okay, so upon first listen, I really wasn't too impressed with this. I found several tracks that I just wasn't fond of, but this album is a really great example of why I believe nobody should be allowed to review without giving an album a minimum of 3 full listens with their undivided attention. Ideally more than 3, maybe 4 or 5. When I sat back with the lyrics and dove in for a second, third, fourth, fifth listen, each time I felt different about it. I'll always want to hear Ed continue to expand his horizons and try new things to evolve as an artist, because though I like them, I do get tired of the classic acoustic sounds of his previous albums. So I would like to see him expand even more than he does here. But I do think this project did a good job of balancing the new with the old. This album, though it fits in perfectly with his body of work, it does feel different to me for some reason, in a good way. It feels like a new chapter. Ed is happy. That's apparent. This album is a happy album where Ed is just going on about how much he loves his daughter, how much he loves his wife. The intention behind most of these songs, they changed the way that I listened to them. As a whole, the project does feel cohesive. I enjoy most of it together, but when you cherry pick tracks or just put them on while you work or something, there are definitely a few that musically don't stand out as much. At the end of the day, I think this is an album that has to be listened to with the intention to listen to it and do it from his perspective. And that's the problem, is most people don't want to do that anymore. 95% of people want to put on an album they can passively bob their head to. If you have to pay attention or be empathetic to enjoy it, people don't like it. A great album these days has to be able to musically grab hold of someone, even if they aren't totally paying attention to it. And though most of these tracks have depth and emotion if you are making an effort to listen to them intentionally and connect with them, musically, many of them are just a little too laid back to grab you or make you want to listen. I'm honestly having a pretty hard time rating this one, but with where I stand right now, I'm gonna put this somewhere between a C or a C+. I love seeing an artist write music from the heart with true intention, and this album was exactly that, and with several bops too. But without that intention, much of this album I would have maybe passed by from a musical perspective. You can make slower, meaningful songs and get a grade A album, but it has to be musically encapsulating. Will I keep this album in my library? Yeah. Will I listen to it again? Sure. Am I going to be continually reaching for this album aside from maybe a couple of the hits? Probably not. But ultimately, this is just my experience. I'm sure this album meant a lot to Ed Sheeran to write, and that's what matters most. And I thank him for letting us peek into his life, because I had a lot of fun listening to this and unpacking it and connecting to it emotionally. It's good stuff. So what did you think about this album? What is your favorite track, and what album is coming out that you would like to see me review? And please make sure you boop the like button for me, share it with a friend, sub if you want to see more, and head to the description and follow me on my socials. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to my boring, monotone self. I love you, and there is nothing you can do about it. Have a wonderful day.